Hello and welcome today. Thank you for joining us for our 2020 February package release. Today I am joined with Seth, our winemaker here.
Hey guys.
And we're going to be quickly running through the package release. Starting with the 15 Viognier, we got to bring out a nice library wine for you. The 18 Chardonnay, the 17 Merlot, the 17 Harrison House, the 17 Zin, as well as the 17 Meritage. All very, very tasty wines, and we will definitely go into more details as we go through the tasting. So Seth, let's get us started on the Viognier.
The 15 Viognier is a very interesting wine. It's, as Zach was saying before, we've been selling the 18 and more recent vintages, I'll put it that way. This 15 was one of the last wines we made in the Hungarian oak tones. And now we have those tones, the 1,000-gallon big vertical oak barrels that you see on our lawn. This was one of the last wines made in it. And I think that really gives it a different texture, a different feel, and a different characteristic than a lot of the other more recent Viogniers that we have. And the fact that it is a 5-6-year-old wine at this point, I think it's really coming into a little bit more unique flavors for it. It doesn't really taste like a Viognier, but it has very nice fruits to it, very nice floralness, and a mid-palate texture that I really think is only there from a wine made in Hungarian oak and then aged for 5 years as a white. Very unique wine. I'm very happy to present it to you guys. So it's very special to us too to be able to reach back in our library and bring out a wine that we haven't seen in a while. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of you folks are used to our 17, 18 Viogniers, which we do bring in from Washington. I believe this is Virginia fruit, so we're going back to that roots of Virginia. Not nearly as floral as what we've done in the past. This is, to me, more of a milder Viognier than the things you have that we've had in the past. Very, very tasty, and a lot more directed towards those red wine drinkers. Moving on to the Chardonnay.
Yeah, this is our 2018 Chardonnay. This is a Chardonnay that we get very local, just in southern Fauquier County. It is the same exact fruit, same exact vineyard as we did with the skin fermented Chardonnay for 2017. This was made in a more traditional style, steel fermented and then oak aged for a few months. I tend to like Chardonnays, and I tend to want to push my Chardonnays to non-traditional Chardonnay flavors. I get very bored with the Chardonnay that is commercially available at every other store. So this one I think is a little bit lighter, a little bit more pulled back, a little bit more fruit focused. Still has the oak input to it, and there are some similarities absent the separate techniques that this shares with the skin fermented Chardonnay too, though. I think there's some commonalities between the two.
Yeah, and for basically to break that down, Chardonnay for non-Chardonnay drinkers, no butter. So this is pretty much what you're looking for as a non-Chardonnay drinker. All the flavors, and this is the funny thing for me, because people tell me this doesn't taste like a Chardonnay at all. Reality, this is more what Chardonnay tastes like. This is the fruit, you know, not the acids, not just the barrel. This is what the fruit has to offer. And I think this is one of the things that highlights you as a winemaker, Seth, is, you know, especially with the Chardonnay, it is a very neutral flavored wine. You tend to always make the fruit the hero of the wine.
And it's a good point, and that's a direct contrast to, I believe, I focus on the fruit flavors of it, and I think California, which dominates the market, really focuses on the élevage, how the wine was raised. It really, you know, punches that malolactic fermentation to give you that big buttery mid-palate. It really over-oaks it to kind of give a strong oak point to it. These are things that I dislike as a consumer, and I think that if we even try to mimic that, we're basically getting in the ring with Mike Tyson. It's a well-established classic style Chardonnay that I don't want to present here. So yes, I do try to push it more towards the oak, more of a Chablis style rather than the Burgundian style. And I think we hit the nail on the head with this. It's a very nice Chardonnay that I do not think sticks out as a traditional Chardonnay, but still offers a lot of the classic Chardonnay flavors.
Beautiful. Merlot.
Merlot is interesting. There's a lot of contention I would say in the market with Merlot.
A lot of influence.
And Merlot is actually one of my favorite wines to work with. Mild, medium, mid-palate. These are things, all the M words is what makes Merlot what it is. I find it to be a wonderful blender. I always get high-quality Merlot in, and you'll find it in 5 to 10% in a lot of my blends. And when we have a really nice Merlot, we do a single varietal. This is from Washington State fruit, but I think it really, it stands by itself as something that is a Merlot that has all those blending capabilities, but it also has something unique to do as a single varietal like this. So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of tannins. For those tannin lovers out there, definitely Merlot's right up your alley. Like I said, in the tasting notes, you'll see that we do have a lot of the kind of more bitter kind of flavors rather than that jamminess that you've seen a lot of Merlots that we produced in the past. Not plummy, not jammy. To me, it's more of that like red apple skin. A lot more of that front forward tannins that just carry all the way to the finish. But it's nothing too full, nothing too bitter, nothing too lingering. It's a very, very well balanced. I think one thing you mentioned earlier when we were tasting these is, these are all at a very pleasant point right now, but at no point are all these 17s what we consider an aged wine. Would you agree with that?
Completely.
These aren't wines that we would say are there right now. It definitely can sit, definitely can age, and definitely can benefit with that slight aging.
They have a lot of youthful characteristics to them, and that lends itself, if you drink these wines in the next 6 months, or you open these bottles soon after the package to try them, these are wines that, across the board, would benefit from a little bit of decanting, or you open the bottle a few hours before dinner, that kind of thing. Because these wines are on the young side of the spectrum, they have a lot of chance to develop, and they're showing that now with being very bright, robust, and youthful. These wines have a long way to go, a lot of changes to happen, and a lot of maturity to go to, but I think they're tasting fantastic right now, and that goes for all 4 of the 17s that we're trying.
And, one of the, with us bringing that up, I think one of the number one questions we'll get in response of that is, how long should I sit on it? How long should I wait? I can't give you that, Seth can't give you that's preference. Open the bottle and find out. That's really the best way to find out if you waited long enough, if you didn't. Get more bottles, sit on more bottles, so when you are opening up, you're not going to the last one, and you've got something to gauge.
An easy way without too much of an investment is buy 2 bottles, try one now, and try one in 3 months, and if you can actually take detailed notes, rather than just reaching back and what you remember, you can take detailed notes about how much you liked it, and then pick. Did you like the first one better or the second one better? And that tells you kind of where the wine is headed and where your preference is going to be. Will you like it more as it ages? If you like the second one better, you probably want to wait longer. If you like the first one better, open them now, because it's still a fantastic drinking wine. So
moving on to the Harrison House 2017. As a member, you guys are very familiar with the Harrison House. It's one of our flagship, state wines. Seth does it, every year we can. Take it away.
Yeah, the Harrison House. When I got to LaGrange, there was a number of wines that resembled kind of a Bordeaux blend. The Harrison House was one of them. I wanted to kind of separate the Meritage, the Cali blend, the Harrison House into different wines, into different stylistic wines. So the Harrison House for me is going to be a field blend of our Benoni's vineyard. It is Cab Sauv dominant, has a little Petit Verdot, and this actually has a little bit of West Coast Cab Franc. 2017, we didn't have a ton of Virginia fruit, so I did lean on that a little bit. But the majority of this wine is from our vineyard, Cab Sauv, a little bit of Petit Verdot, and then some Cab Franc. But the whole point is I want it to mimic our field blend. In about the same ratio that we have growing Cab Sauv and Petit Verdot. That's kind of the style of what this is. It's not something that I come in and change the blend every time. It's not something that I'm reaching for or trying to really push through a square peg through a round hole. This is something that I embrace our farming methods and really want to showcase what we're doing here on the property. I think it's a good wine that shows that.
Yeah, 100%. And, I think that very much adds to the package as a whole. I mean, in previous packages, we've given you reds that can be very jammy, things like Syrah, things like our 16 Merlot that have a lot of that fruit presence. I don't think any one of these wines is overly jammy. To me, I'm getting more of these tart notes here with a lot of the spice, a lot of the earthy notes. And I think this is much more of that rustic red, but I do look forward to it, a nice Virginia red.
Completely, and I think this wine, comparatively to heavier wines, exactly what you're saying, this wine is more light on its feet. It's not going to be real heavy. It's going to focus on lighter flavors. It has tannins. It has nice acid. It has really nice fruit, earthy characteristics, but they're soft and in balance, that it's not going to be a really heavy wine and really kind of a showstopper. I think they just had it in the last winemaker's dinner, and the pairing went very well with it, too. So it's a very food-friendly wine. So.
Yep, absolutely. And Zinfandel, this is our 2017 Zinfandel. It's been on the tasting menu for a while. Our executive members actually selected this wine as their blind tasting wine way back when. So this has been something that has been around and is quite popular with a lot of our executive members. Yeah, beautiful Zin.
This is kind of a special wine to me. This is my first try at Zinfandel. When I got here in 2016, there was a 15, there was 2 14s, the old vine and then a normal 14. So we kind of had a lot of Zin, so we held off on the 16, but in 17 brought it back, West Coast fruit. This is my first time working with Zinfandel, and Zinfandel is also known as Primitivo. I like working with it because it's definitely a wine that doesn't fit into the normal categories, I'll put it that way, because it's heavy. It usually has more alcohol to it, big fruit, big acid, but the tannins and the color are going to be a little bit lighter. And I think it's a really nice wine to challenge a winemaker to see if you can kind of hit that off note, hit that thing that present a nice balanced wine, but not have those big bulky tannins, that deep purple color, but still have the wine come across as something that can stand up to a lot of food and stand up to aging. I'm very elated with this wine and how it's progressing. Again, it is a young wine, young Zinfandel, but I think it's presenting very, very nicely.
And we get this from Washington. Yeah. You know, fundamentally, you know, Washington, California, yeah, they're going to be on the West Coast, but climate-wise, they're going to be quite different. The cooler climate that Washington does experience does give the Zinfandel tend to be more of a tart, more of a raspberry, opposed to that deep dark fruit that you find in something like the California Zin. We've done things like the Old Vine Zin that we gotten from
Lodi,
I believe, which were jammy, chocolate-covered cherries, all these deep fruits, and I don't think that's what we find here. And that, I think, is just the difference in region. But I think that highlights just how much the regions can make a difference in that wine. Because this is not, to me, what you expect. For me, this is something that is going to be more well received across the board than previous Zinfandels that were more chocolate, more cherry, things of that nature.
Absolutely, and I think Zach's alluding to the point that place and year and context in wine is so important. And that's why all of our bottles say Virginia or American on them. All of our bottles are vintage. These are things that really direct you to the style of that wine and kind of give you a little bit more feedback or a little bit more to go on how that wine is placed. Because where it was grown and the year it was grown in means so much, and there's so many different spectrums and so many different variations of these grapes. But having that really, I think, gives you a better track record to kind of move forward with. So.
100%. And last but not least, the Meritage, not to be confused with Meritage, as a lot of folks will say. And it's a staple. I mean, you're going to find this pretty much any winery you go to. You know, nice New World Bordeaux style blends. As Seth was saying earlier, we had a lot of Catfall coming in 17. So I believe this is one of the first Meritages we've done that's not either Merlot heavy or Capso heavy. This is Catfall, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of our new managers, Kevin, he actually asked me a few minutes ago, is this a right bank or a left bank, Bordeaux style? And I had to look at him and smile because it would be neither. Because it is a Cap Franc heavy blend, it won't really fit into either one of those. But I think that necessarily does lend to its style. It is a little bit more earthiness, a little bit more black pepper, but really nice fruit on it. It is, when I go for the Meritage, what you're looking for is more of the symphony. A 3-string quartet can be beautiful. A single violin, can really tug on your heartstrings, pun intended. But something that you want when you make a blend like a Bordeaux blend, you're looking for the whole package. You want the bass, you want the high notes, you want everything in between, and that's kind of what this Meritage is. Still on the young side, still has a lot to develop. And Cap Franc isn't going to be as heavy as a Cap Sauv blend, but I think it's going to have a little more punch than a Merlot style blend. It's a very unique wine that I'm really happy to present to you guys. So. Absolutely,
this is a wine that you guys have seen before in a previous package, I believe. May of last year, sounds correct, and I have to say it's opened up quite a bit. Much deeper characteristics. Before it was very mute, being that it was still very young, but that 8 months, 9 months in the bottle did make a difference. A lot more smokiness, a lot more flavor, and a lot more complexity in layer. But those are the 6 wines. Very excited for you guys to come out and try them. Moving forward, we do recommend reservations. As club members, you guys don't require a reservation fee, but we do recommend that you just give us a call, let us know you're coming, so we can make sure we're planning ahead. For those of you that don't know, we do have a couple events still coming up. We have the Benoni's Bites coming on the February 12th at 12 p.m. That is a chef from Okras, Cajun and Creole, with a Mardi Gras-inspired menu. Very, very exciting. And then on the 27th of this month, we have our wine dinner with the Conch, with Chef Santonge. He has done many dinners in the past and some of the best dinners that we've ever seen. So tickets are available for both those events. For you club members, you definitely do get those discounts. Feel free to ask any of the managers or go to our website and purchase those tickets. But otherwise, if you have any questions about the wine or anything else, you can come see us up at the front bar. Thanks so much, guys.
Guys, enjoy and cheers.